Welcome to Night Lesson. Relax and learn along the way.
Intro, the Moon of Fear. Imagine looking up at a planet that possesses not just one but two moons. But one of these moons is different. It holds mysteries as deep as the craters on its surface, and it bears a name that reminds us of our deepest fears. Phobos, the Moon of Fear. It is a seemingly unremarkable celestial body, small and irregularly shaped, almost like an asteroid marked by time. At breathtaking speed it orbits the red planet, so close that it rises and sets several times a day. But behind its modest appearance lies a story full of contradictions, failed missions, and mysterious discoveries that leave even seasoned scientists in quiet wonder. Since its discovery in the late 19th century, Phobos has both fascinated and puzzled humanity. Was it once a lonely wanderer of the asteroid belt, captured by the gravity of Mars eons ago? Or does its existence hide a far more complex and surprising origin story, rooted deep in the past of Mars itself? Its strange porous structure and the mysterious grooves that crisscross its surface give rise to the boldest theories. Let us go on a quiet journey together that brings us closer to the mysterious world of Phobos. We will explore its physical properties, delve into the theories surrounding its existence, and lift the shadows that lie over the failed attempts to explore its secrets up close. Relax, lean back, and listen to the silent stories that the Moon of Fear has to tell us from the deep silence of space. Chapter 1: The Tiny Guardian of the Red Planet. As the closest companion of Mars, Phobos, the larger of its two moons, traces its orbits in the immediate vicinity of the red planet. This small, silent guardian is eternally bound to Mars, a fascinating object in the sky that tells stories from billions of years. Phobos is the larger and inner of the two Martian moons, yet its size is a subtle deception. Imagine holding a simple, irregular stone in your hand. Now, in your mind, enlarge this stone until it reaches the proportions of a small city. That is Phobos, with an average diameter of only about 22 kilometers. It is a true tiny tot, compared to our own moon, whose majestic circumference measures thousands of kilometers. Its shape does not resemble the perfect sphere we expect from celestial bodies. It is more like an ancient, elongated rock marked by space, an irregular chunk of stone whose longest side measures about 27 kilometers, and its shortest only 18. It does not dance in perfect roundness, but swings gently on its path, a unique character in the ballet of the solar system. Its surface tells stories from billions of years. It is covered with the scars of cosmic collisions, countless craters that lie like light indentations in its skin. And then there are the furrows, long parallel grooves that run across its surface, as if a giant hand had gently stroked it. Scientists believe these grooves are the first signs of a slow but inevitable destruction, stress fractures caused by the massive gravitational pull of Mars. Phobos orbits its mother planet in a remarkably low and intimate orbit. Only barely 6,000 kilometers separate its surface from that of Mars. No other known moon in the entire solar system dares to come so close to its planet. This proximity has a fascinating consequence: a breathtaking speed. While our moon takes almost a month to orbit the Earth, Phobos completes its journey in a dizzyingly short time. Only 7 hours, 39 minutes and 12 seconds. A blink of an eye in cosmic terms. We can pause for a moment and imagine standing on the red, dusty surface of Mars, looking up into the thin, pinkish sky. We would witness a spectacle that is unimaginable on Earth. Phobos would rise in the west, not the east, and move across the sky like a fast gray pebble. In just over 4 hours, it would already set again in the east, only to begin its rapid dance anew shortly thereafter. Several times in a single Martian day, we could see this little guardian rise and set again, a constant fleeting companion in the sky. Its surface is covered by a dark, almost charcoal-colored layer of dust called regolith. Phobos is one of the darkest objects in the solar system. Its albedo, the measure of its reflectivity, is only 0.071. This means it swallows almost all the sparse sunlight that reaches it at this distance and reflects only a tiny fraction of it. It is a shadow, a ghost passing in front of the glowing disk of Mars. The most striking feature on this dark face is a massive crater. It bears the name Stickney and measures almost 9 kilometers in diameter. Given the small size of the moon, this impact must have been of unfathomable force. It is a miracle that Phobos did not shatter completely. The Stickney crater gives it a distinctive, almost scarred appearance, a silent reminder of a catastrophic encounter in the distant past. One can imagine the distant sun casting its pale rays over the edge of the crater, drawing kilometer-long sharp shadows that slowly crawl across the gray, dusty plain. In this silent, airless world, there is no wind to erase the traces, no water to smooth the edges. Everything remains as it was created eons ago. And so this tiny guardian traces its lonely, fast orbits, a dark, battered chunk of rock and dust. It is a prisoner of Martian gravity, inexorably approaching its planet, millimeter by millimeter, year after year. It holds the secrets of the early days of our solar system in its craters and furrows, quietly whispering stories to us of cosmic time, of massive forces, and of the silent, infinite beauty of space, while it patiently waits for its distant, inevitable fate. Chapter 2: The strange lightness of the Moon. One of the greatest mysteries Phobos presents us with is its exceptionally low density. While solid, rocky bodies, like our own Moon, have a density of about 3 grams per cc, Phobos is completely out of line. Measurements from space probes showed a value of only about 19 grams per cubic centimeter. This value is startlingly low. It is too low for a compact body made of solid rock. If Phobos were a simple, solid rock, it would have to consist of a material that we would hardly expect in the inner solar system. This simple number, 19, opens the door to a world full of speculation and fascinating theories. It forces us to question our idea of what a moon can be. So what could this low density mean? How can an entire moon be so light? The most obvious scientific explanation bears the sober name rubble pile hypothesis. What looks like a compact rocky body from the outside could offer a completely different picture on the inside. Scientists suspect that the interior of Phobos is crisscrossed by countless cavities, invisible gaps between loosely stacked rocks that drastically reduce its total weight. It is estimated that this proportion of emptiness could make up between 25 and 45% of its total volume. The smooth, crater-scarred shell we see betrays nothing of this. But in the annals of astronomy, there is another far bolder idea. In the 1960s, a time of new beginnings in space and bold visions, the Soviet astrophysicist Iosif Shklovsky dealt with the then still sparse data on Phobos, the low density and the strangely stable orbit of the Moon, which slowly brings it closer to Mars, led him to formulate a hypothesis that pushed the limits of scientific imagination. Shklovsky proposed that Phobos might be hollow, and he went one step further. He speculated that a naturally formed celestial body would hardly exhibit such a structure. His conclusion was as simple as it was radical. Phobos could be an artificial satellite, a giant, perhaps thousands of years old, abandoned spaceship built by a long-gone civilization. This hollow moon theory was a sensation. It captured the imagination of science fiction authors and the public alike. The idea of an artificial moon, a silent witness to an unknown history, quietly watching over the red planet, has a deep, almost mythical appeal. People imagined the interior, vast empty halls, corridors leading through the darkness, a shell of metal and rock hiding unknown technology. Today, with our significantly increased knowledge of the solar system, Shklovsky's theory is no longer favored by most scientists. Newer data from probes like Mars Express point to a natural porous structure, but ultimately nothing is proven, and the idea of an artificial moon remains a fascinating thought experiment. It is a testament to how deep the secrets are that Phobos holds, and how ready the human mind is to search for extraordinary explanations for extraordinary phenomena. The strange lightness of the moon may not be the result of an unknown technology, but it reminds us that the universe is often stranger and more wonderful than we can imagine in our boldest dreams. Whatever slumbers inside it, Phobos patiently turns its rounds and waits for humanity to finally get close enough to find out. Chapter 3: A Tomb of Ambitions. The Phobos missions. The history of the exploration of the Martian moon Phobos is marked by a melancholic series of failures that give its name an eerie significance. Its surface is littered with craters, scarred by eons of collisions, but the deepest scars in its history are invisible. They are the stories of the ambitious dreams that broke against its gravitational pull. Our narrative begins in the late 1980s, a time of the Cold War. in which the space race still fueled the spirits and ambitions of the superpowers. The Soviet Union, with its long and proud history of space travel, turned its gaze toward Phobos. Two identical probes, Phobos-1 and Phobos-2, were sent on the long journey in 1988. Their goal was bold. They were not only to reach Mars, but to enter orbit around its tiny moon, map it from close range, and even deploy small landers that would hop across its dusty surface. Think of the tension in the control centers, of the concentrated faces looking at the data streams. Phobos-1 began its journey without problems, a silent traveler on its way through the void. But the silence became a final one. On the way to Mars, still millions of kilometers from its destination, the probe was lost. A faulty command, a tiny human error in a long chain of code, had turned the probe so that its solar cells were no longer aligned with the sun, its batteries drained. And Phobos-1 fell silent forever, a quiet monument to ambition that now drifts aimlessly through the solar system. Hopes now rested on Phobos-2, and it seemed to fulfill these hopes. The probe reached Mars, entered orbit, and began sending breathtaking images and valuable data back to Earth. The scientists cheered. The probe was working perfectly and slowly spiraled toward its actual goal. Phobos, the crucial phase of the mission, was imminent. One could almost feel the presence of the small moon. But then, just days before it was to reach Phobos and begin its main task, the inexplicable happened. Contact broke off suddenly, and without warning. One last puzzling image showing a strange, elliptical shape near the moon reached Earth before Phobos-2 fell silent forever. Was it a computer error, a failure of the propulsion systems? The exact cause remains a mystery to this day, a whisper in space that fuels speculation about the nature of Phobos itself. Decades passed. The Soviet Union collapsed, but the dream of Phobos lived on in Russia. In 2011, a new, even more ambitious mission was launched. Phobos-Grunt. Grunt means soil in Russian, and that was exactly the goal. The probe was to land on Phobos, take a soil sample, and send it back to Earth in a small capsule. It would have been an unprecedented triumph, the first piece of a Martian moon in the hands of scientists. The world watched as the rocket rose into the night sky from Baikonur. But tragedy struck quickly. Although the probe reached Earth orbit, the crucial ignition of the engines that was to put it on course for Mars never took place. For weeks, the multi-ton probe circled our own planet like a trapped bird. Engineers all over the world tried desperately to establish contact, to send it a command, to free it from its earthly prison. For a brief, hopeful moment, a station in Australia managed to receive a signal, but it was too late. Phobos-Grunt could no longer be saved. Uncontrolled and unstoppable, it sank lower and lower, until it finally burned up in the Earth's atmosphere, a fiery streak in the sky, a symbol of a broken dream. Thus Phobos, the moon of fear, has lived up to its name in an eerie way. 3 major missions, 3 failures of almost Shakespearean proportions. Technicians speak of the enormous challenges, the difficult navigation to such a small body with hardly any gravity of its own. But the accumulation of these failures, the strange circumstances of Phobos-2 falling silent, the failure of Phobos-Grunt at a seemingly simple hurdle, all this gives the small moon an almost mythical aura. It remains an untouched destination, a tomb of ambitions, waiting quietly and patiently in the shadow of Mars for the next brave travelers who dare to unlock its secrets. It remains an untouched destination, a tomb of ambitions, and a silent reminder that the universe does not give up its secrets easily. Chapter 4: The Mystery of the Monolith. Phobos holds not only the scars of failed missions and cosmic impacts. Another discovery awaits on its surface, one that has left even sober scientists in awe. Near the massive Stickney crater, a striking, almost rectangular structure rises out of the reddish dust, referred to reverently by observers as the monolith. Not a rocky hill, not a crater wall, but a single upright block. And we do not even know how much of this block is actually visible. A large part could be buried deep in the regolith, so that we only see the top part of a far larger body. When the sun is low over the horizon of Mars, this block casts a long, narrow shadow across the barren lunar landscape. It is from the length of this shadow and the sun angle that scientists have calculated its height, an estimated 90 meters, an elegant method that the ancient Egyptians already used to measure the height of the pyramids. But the shadow method only reveals the height, not the shape. High-resolution stereo images from later probes additionally showed a width of about 85 meters in both directions, so it is almost cube-shaped. But under a low-lying sun, even a wide rectangular block casts a shadow that looks like that of a slender pillar. Long, narrow, like an obelisk on the ground. The shadow alone does not tell us whether the object is wide or narrow. What early observers interpreted as a pillar could simply be a wide, massive block, whose shadow created the image of a pillar. It is the almost geometric regularity of the block that makes it so puzzling. Nature rarely produces straight lines. The story of its discovery begins in 1998 with the images from the Mars Global Surveyor probe. It was not a NASA scientist who first noticed it, but Efrain Palermo, an independent image analyst who systematically combed through the probe data. When his discovery was confirmed, the images immediately caused a sensation. The name Monolith was chosen deliberately, in reference to the mysterious black monolith from Stanley Kubrick's film 2001. A space odyssey, that silent artifact of an unknown intelligence. Is it a natural rock formation, or could it be something artificial, a remnant of a past civilization whose intention remains forever hidden from us? The most likely scientific explanation is sober. A rock broken off from the Stickney impact eons ago and left lying on one of its sides. For a cube-shaped block, that is not very surprising. 6 sides, each equally likely. Natural fractures in the rock can certainly create geometric shapes. But that is just as unproven as the opposite. The monolith stands on Phobos, rising 90 meters out of the dust, and what lies beneath it no one knows. Chapter 5 Buzz Aldrin's Speculations. Buzz Aldrin is one of the most famous astronauts in history. As the pilot of the lunar module Eagle, he was the second person to step onto the moon on July 20, 1969, a few moments after Neil Armstrong. Since then, he has never been content to simply be a witness to space history. He remained a visionary. In 2009, he spoke in an interview about the future of Mars exploration. And he said something that immediately made the rounds. We should visit the moons of Mars. There is a monolith on Phobos. A big, big monolith. No long explanations, no speculation about aliens. Just a brief matter-of-fact mention, but it came from a man who has stood on another celestial body himself, who knows what horizons look like that no human had seen before him. That gives these words a different weight than the statement of an enthusiast. The official stance of NASA and ESA is clear. The monolith is a natural rock formation, a rock broken off from the Stickney impact. Aldrin did not contradict this. He did not say the structure was artificial. He just pointed to it, with the quiet emphasis of someone who has learned that it is worth taking a close look, even when the answer is still pending. Chapter 6 The Future of the Moon of Fear. The origin of Phobos remains unclear to this day. 2 theories face each other, and both are plausible. The first states that Phobos is a captured asteroid. Its dark surface and low density strongly resemble the so-called C-type asteroids, carbonaceous bodies from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. According to this, Phobos could have once drifted through the void of the solar system until it came too close to Mars, and its gravity forced it into an orbit from which it would never escape again. The second theory, supported by newer computer models, paints a more dramatic picture. Phobos and its little brother Deimos could be the remains of a once much larger moon that was torn to pieces by a massive collision. The debris reaccumulated over millions of years under the influence of gravity, forming the 2 irregular moons we know today. Some models even suggest that part of the material originally came from Mars itself, ejected during an early giant impact. While its origin remains open, Phobos' end is predetermined. Its extremely low orbit, it orbits Mars 3 times a day, makes it a constant target of the tidal forces of its planet. The same forces that create high and low tide on Earth pull Phobos incessantly closer, a few centimeters per year, over millions of years. In about 30 to 50 million years it will reach the Roche limit, that critical distance at which the tidal forces of Mars are stronger than the Moon's own gravity. Phobos will disintegrate, first cracks, then chunks, finally dust. But its end will also create something new. A flat ring could form around the Martian equator from the debris, more modest than the rings of Saturn, but real. For a cosmic epoch, the red planet would be surrounded by a shimmering band of particles. Then, over further millions of years, this ring too would fade, the particles spiraling downward, ending as meteor showers or fine dust on the surface of Mars. A final greeting from a moon that has been making its rounds for 4 billion years. Outro. Phobos is a small moon, but it has much to tell. A dark, irregular chunk that orbits its planet 3 times a day, a density that raises questions, furrows that bear witness to slow destruction, a monolith 90 meters high, whose shadow no one has yet measured from close-up, 3 failed missions that never reached it, and in the end, the Roche limit, the inevitable finale. Phobos is not a place that gives us answers. It is a place that asks us questions, quietly, patiently, from 6,000 kilometers above the red planet. Let these questions be with you tonight, not as unrest, but as what they are, a sign of how much the universe still has in store. Phobos makes its rounds, Mars sleeps beneath it, and you can sleep now too. Good night. That was today's night lesson. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Good night and sleep well.